Hey everybody, and welcome to the Short Film Ideas channel. Today we're going to be talking about the one-person character study and a particular short film structure technique that could help to flesh out compelling one-person character study short films. Let's go. Okay, everybody, welcome back. My name is Chike Kamara. I am a writer, mostly on the subject of short films and screenplays and screenwriting. So I have a link below if you're interested in checking out some of my books. I've also done some short films that have been screened at film festivals in New York City, San Diego, New Mexico, and Los Angeles slash Hollywood. But more than anything, I like to teach and I like to learn and I like to learn about filmmaking. I almost feel like a professor as much film and screenwriting that I've studied in my life. And although I've had some screenings in film festival, I feel like I am best equipped to serve as teaching what I learned um, through the years as far as screenwriting and short films and short filmmaking and stuff like that. So again, thank you and welcome to the channel. Like the video if you found it useful, subscribe, and press the bell notification icon next to the subscribe button if you'd like to be notified of when I upload new content. We're going to talk about short film ideas, we're going to talk about short film structure, and we're going to try to become the best short filmmakers we can be. And this is an active participation, so if you comment in the comment section, hopefully we can start a community that can help each other to make better quality short films and get our film festivals seen in film festivals and stuff like that. Okay, so that's out of the way. Let's talk about the one person character study, which is a type of film that I've come across frequently when I've watched short films. Well, not too frequently, not as frequently as some of the other multicast short films that you might find, but some very compelling one character short films are out there. And I've seen a few of them, quite a few of them, that have been screened at festivals. And I chose this one first because it's, to me, the most challenging short film to try to embark upon because you have one character. That's it. And it's easy to sort of mess it up and leave the audience confounded a little bit. So I tried to look at some very good, high quality film festival type short films that had one character, and I tried to put together an idea or a paradigm that sort of shows all the similarities between those films. So hopefully this can be helpful. You can find this helpful, and if you embark upon your one person character study, um, hopefully you'll get some insight from this episode. Okay, so let's establish some ground rules. And rules are made to be broken, and not every short film that has one character has these ground rules, but this is what I've found more often than not. Number one, the character must have extreme, unusual, or unique idiosyncrasies. In other words, we want to see a character that has uh, warts and ticks and all of that. And the more extreme that is, the more chance there is for um, a compelling short film. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is you build subtle puzzle pieces for the audience to sort of connect the dots and connect the puzzle pieces. You build enough of those so that the audience can have a bit of an aha moment where they finally kind of understand possibly what makes this character act like he or she does, or what makes this character tick, and Basically, we do this by way of other characters or by the main character, him or herself, especially for the one character um, throughout the film. And I say this to say that you can have a one character main film in the sense that there is one character, or you can have a one character main film where the background players or the secondary actors are so far from the story and that it's told mainly from the first person account of the main character that it's almost like the other actors are backdrops, and it is in fact very similar to a one character short film. Okay, so that's what we do in number two. And number three, we put a final punctuation point on the film by way of literal or figurative ending. And I'm going to get into this in a little bit more detail in a second. Okay. And so those are the rules. And then the question is, how do we structure such a short film? And I've come up with a structure that I've come across a few times. And again, short films allow you to be more creative and experimental with your structure. So this is definitely not written in stone, but hopefully it points you in the right direction if you're lost with doing a certain type of film. I remember uh, when I was a young short filmmaker, um, I always saw people. I've been a people watcher most of my life, and I saw people, and I thought he would make or she would make an interesting character in a film. So I would always try to um, write a short film based on the person I saw and observed their idiosyncrasies, but it never quite got anywhere because that's all I had, and that's the point of us going through this because you can't just stop there at okay, I have a cool, interesting character that has all kinds of things going on with them. You can't stop there. If you leave it there, um, the audience might be bewildered. Okay, so how do we structure this type of short film? Well, one way you could do that is you can have a beginning, a twist, a middle, a twist, and then the end. Okay, now let me break that down a little bit. So, the beginning, you show the character in a situation where his or her idiosyncrasies are on full display so that the audience can know who they're dealing with. So, how is the audience going to feel any empathy or disdain, if you want, towards how is the audience going to feel any kind of emotion towards the character or the main character if they don't know what type of person they're dealing with? They don't know anything about the main character, the character, and that happens a lot in film, where especially films that are kind of amateurish, where you find that a character is introduced and we don't know anything about the character. The characters just start doing random stuff, and then stuff happens, and then okay, we're supposed to feel for them. No, we have to get to know who it is we're dealing with as the audience. Okay, so that is the beginning. You show the character in a situation where his or her idiosyncrasies are on full display so that the audience can know who they're dealing with. Next is a twist. You throw the character into a situation where they are out of their comfort zone. They can be in their environment, but perhaps something new happens in their environment, or they're taken out of their environment and put in another environment where they're out of their comfort zone. Okay. Then you have the middle of the short film. And the idea here is to create insight puzzle pieces. These can be scenes, dialogue, interactions um, with the actor themselves or other ancillary characters You have flexibility there, but you create insights, puzzle pieces that subtly give us insight into why the character could be the way they are. And then you have another twist. The character reaches a point where they make a hard decision to change or be changed on some level. Okay. And then you have the end. The character takes a literal and figurative action that will both end this chapter in their life and start a new chapter in the character's life. Okay. So let me back up a little bit and get into the quote unquote rules a little bit, and and go from there. Okay, so let me give you an example of number one is the character must have extreme, unusual, or unique idiosyncrasies. It doesn't have to be over the top, by the way. But let's get into that. Let's get some examples. Okay. Um, for example, consider these character types. Number one, a chain smoking, soft spoken teenager with tattoos covering his or her body. How about a morbidly obese woman who laughs incessantly and wears too much makeup? Or what about a toddler with a fixation on flames and fire, constantly lighting matches and obsessed with candles? Those are three characters with unique or unusual um, tics or idiosyncrasies. And actually, those three characters are characters that I have seen in short films that have been highly decorated and award winning. Um, so that's rule number one. They must have some sort of unusual or extreme um, or unique character traits that are ripe for analysis by the audience. Okay. And like I said, it's not just enough to show that these characters are unique or that they have extreme character traits. It's interesting, and that's a good place. That's a good place to start for an audience. This is interesting. This character is interesting. Then we want to know, why is this character acting the way they do, or we want to feel some sort of conflict that rubs up against that to see how they will react in certain situations. Okay. And then number two um, is build subtle puzzle pieces that each give insight into why this character is the way he or she is. Now, let me expound on that a little bit. Okay. So, let's say we take um, the chain smoking, soft spoken teenager with tattoos covering his body. Let's say we take that type of character. Okay. So we already have a teenager. We have a teenager that chain smokes. We have a teenager that has tattoos all over his or her body. And so we know he or she is some sort of rebel type or very independent type or something like that. So we are dealing with a unique character here. So let's take this character and see if we can build some interesting puzzle pieces that gives the audience insight into why this character is the way they are. Okay. Um, let's see. Okay, so let's say that this rebel teenager joins his family for dinner for the first time in a long time after he finds out that his mother has died. Okay, so let's say that his family is large and they're very close, and every week they get together for dinner to gossip, talk, laugh, enjoy. But let's say this particular Sunday is the week after our main character's mom's death. They want to keep things going. Maybe it brings the family closer together, or maybe not. That's another dramatic point we could look into. But anyway, so again, let's say that uh, this teenager decides to join his family for dinner for a long time. He's been sort of AWOL um, from those activities because he's different, unique, and let's say he's decided to show up and appear for dinner. Okay, what ways can we go about creating subtle conflict that gives the audience a sense of how he or she came to be this way? And let me say from this point forward, he, just for the sake of simplicity. So there are many ways we can do this through discussion, through argument, through unsaid actions at the dinner table or at the house, uh, whichever you choose. But you can use any of those devices to start to build a puzzle by which the audience can connect the pieces and have an aha moment um, regarding this main character. Okay. But you have to resist the temptation to be obvious, you know? For example, if your character, if a character that's related to the main character says, Ricky, look at you. Your mom is rolling over in her grave right now. All those tattoos, and you smell like you just came from a bonfire. I mean, it's so obvious to say that. You know, of course he has all those tattoos, and of course he's a chain smoker. But that doesn't help the audience. It doesn't give the audience a puzzle piece by which they can file away and wait for the next puzzle piece. That's just stating the obvious. Okay? It doesn't create conflict and nuance for the story. Remember, we want to give the audience puzzle pieces until they can solve it themselves. And as an audience, we want to be entertained, but we also want to say, "Oh, I get it. Wow, that's why he's like that." You know what I'm saying? Even if we don't think that, subconsciously we do, and we want to think that as the audience. So let's try something else. Let's suppose one of his siblings said during the dinner to him out loud in front of everybody, "Billy, remember that time Mom made you walk to school with no shirt on because you forgot to iron your shirt the night before? And she followed you all the way to school in that car with us in the back seat cracking up. She followed you all the way to school to make sure you actually walked there with no shirt on, just to prove a point. And you were crying all the way there. That was Mom, man. She was trying to teach us things in her own way. It was tough sometimes, but I just remember that story. So what if one of Billy's siblings said that out loud in front of everybody? Do you see in a subtle way this could explain in a little way why um, Billy is the way he is? The tattoos, the chain smoking, all of those things are quite possibly the result of him expressing his independence from his mother and family. He's rejecting them in a way. So we're getting closer. We're getting closer to a full story here. Okay. So we have a character with unique traits. We have a little bit of an insight into what life was like for him growing up. That's a puzzle piece. But it's not enough. We need more puzzle pieces. So, besides the fact that more puzzle pieces can be added, such as his response or lack of response to the other characters or to the dinner, or such as other characters chiming in with more anecdotes that further humiliate him, besides that, besides adding those as puzzle pieces, what we have to do is give our story some sort of ending to tie everything up. an ending that satisfies our audience. So, in successful film festival worthy short films, and those are the films we all are trying to make. We don't make short films so that nobody can see them. You know, if we get our short films into film festivals, we feel, hey, maybe we can do this. You know, our short film was accepted. That means we should keep going. It gives us fuel, it gives us ammunition. So, in those successful types of films, that are about one character that I have come across, the ending of the film was a final piece of the puzzle that the audience very much appreciated, and that's what drew the film festival judges to accepting the film. I'm sure you can't just have an interesting character just be interesting and then there's nothing else. Okay, I'm going to keep saying that. So think of this: there are two types of ending in most films. You have literal and figurative. Literal endings can be something like leaving, dying, walking away, disappearing, getting fired, getting the job, staying, living, surviving, finishing something, a task, okay? Destroying, saving, literal ending, okay? Then you have figurative or symbolic, or as I like to say, thematic endings. And they could be something like crying, hugging, touching, whereby crying could represent figuratively the ending of something. Hugging can represent the beginning or ending of something. And touching the beginning of something. Touching as in the start of a relationship, you know. So, literal and figurative. So, here's a nugget: the best ending to films are those that combine both physical and figurative thematic endings. Okay. So in this example, if you show the tough, usually emotionless teenager start to cry, and then he gets up and leaves the dinner and the house, and you see him walking down the street away from the house, then that's an ending on two levels. Physically, he leaves. He ends the story physically. Also, figuratively, he cried. He cries. And that represents the ending of his relationship with his mother and his family. There's a 99% chance that he will never come back. He won't look back. That's the end. It's done. Okay? So there we go. There we have it. All right. So hopefully you can understand what I'm saying. If you need me to expound on this a little more and give more examples, let me know in the comments. And yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed, and don't forget to leave a comment below. And we are all filmmakers here and screenwriters, and it is my hope that everybody sort of helps each other out. So if you have a question or you have a question about something you're working on and the feasibility of it, then hopefully all of us can help you to answer that question. Okay? Let me know what you think. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and like button and the bell notification so that you'll know when I updated more of these series, because I'm going to get into more short film structures. And of course, we're going to be talking about short film ideas, how to come up with them, and I'll be giving some sample short film ideas. But I need to know if you want me to keep going. So like and subscribe, and I will certainly add a lot more. And let me just leave you with this tip. And actually, I might do a little recap on what I said after all of this. Okay, so the tip is, I cannot recommend highly enough that you watch other great short films. Don't be afraid and don't think you will be influenced by watching other great short films. It's highly recommended that you do so. Starting with a website such as Short Film of the Week, which has films from all over the world, and you can learn from filmmakers on the other side of the world, and it'll just help you to step your game up. And it certainly has helped me to come up with some pretty interesting ideas that I've not taken advantage of because I have 3 kids and it's difficult. But that's an excuse. No excuses here. Uh, anyway, let's just go over a recap. Um, Again, number one, here are some ground rules. But rules are meant to be broken. But start here, and then you can mess everything up, as they say. The character must have extreme, unusual, or unique idiosyncrasies. Number two, build subtle puzzle pieces that each give insight into why the character is the way he or she is. And number three, put a final punctuation point on the film by way of literal and figurative ending. Okay? And let's talk about a possible structure you could use. Beginning, show the main character in a situation where his or her idiosyncrasies are on full display so that the audience can know who they're dealing with. Okay. How is the audience supposed to know how they're going to feel if you don't reveal some of this character and they're just and they're hopefully they're not just randomly doing idiosyncratic things. I mean, that's good to sort of jar the audience in the beginning, but you better have some way of explaining why they're doing the things they are doing. Okay, so that's the beginning. Then we throw a twist in there. Throw the character into a situation where they are out of their comfort zone. Okay? And then we have the middle of the film. And this could all take place in 5 minutes, you know. Uh, then we have the middle. Create insight puzzle pieces. We're trying to give the audience insight into this main character's psyche, but we're doing it little by little and subtle. So, and then you have another twist where the main character reaches a boiling point where they have to make a hard decision to change or be changed on some level. Okay. Something causes this situation to come to a boiling point where they have to reckon with their idiosyncrasies versus what's going on that's combating that idiosyncrasy. Okay. All right. And then you have an end, the end. The character takes a literal and figurative action that will both end this chapter in his or her life and start a new chapter in his or her life, even if they decide to go back to the way they were or their comfort zone. Okay. Something has to change, even if they go back to a new normal way of living, but it cannot stay the same. Okay. Got it? So try it out. Let me know what you think. If you need more detail or if you want me to give more examples in a follow-up video, excuse me, let me know. Like and subscribe. I love you. Take care.